Yeah, that's better. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. We've been doing the show for over 10 years, over 500 episodes. Massive, massive, just fun. That's it. I love seeing all you guys, and I love seeing Cliff. Cliff, how are you?
Can I say a happy anniversary to TheOneRing.net in a very specific and unique way? But we'll get to that. It's an anniversary announcement that you're not going to want to miss because I can hardly believe it myself. I mean, really, when you look at the numbers, I can't believe it. But welcome, everybody. Let's start the show. This is Torn Tuesday. That's right, TheOneRing.net. Here, this is the big web portal that has been created by the fans for the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien. And welcome again to our Tuesday weekly offering of conversation, speculation, and a little bit of crazy deep fried mischief on the side.
Deep fried mischief.
My name is Clifford. I'm not watching my cholesterol. I really am not. And filthy lies. And that's Justin right over there. And this is Clifford right here. And we have other, we have had many wonderful guests and other collaborators, special guest stars and interviewees right here on this very bandwidth.
Cliff, I had so much fun putting together that intro video because, like, going over through 23 years of video interviews that we've done, starting with Elijah Wood on the press set of Peter Jackson's Fellowship, all the way to during the pandemic interviewing Viggo Mortensen for 2 hours straight. Cliff, Viggo was always on your short list of, like, I wish I could spend just some quality time with him. How did it feel to finally, because we were all quarantined and we were all kind of, these people made themselves available. How did it feel to finally get in deep with Viggo Mortensen?
It was the second time. It was the second time we actually got to sit down into some deeper, conscientious conversations with an added layer of thought to what we were talking about. Because the first time that I got to do that with him was way back at the world premiere of The Return of the King in Wellington. I was in Wellington, New Zealand. I was in the press corps with the other international reporters from magazines and tabloids and websites all across the world. They had all arrived to do an incredible high-speed parade.
High speed, yeah. In these big press things, like, and it still happens today.
And
like,
it was amazing that he wanted to stop everything and continue for a deeper dive. And the publicist in the background, right behind the camera, all of the publicists and the people from New Line were going, "Come on, look at your watch. Look at your watch." And Viggo was like, "Look," and he and I were just really deep diving. We were talking, and he's like, and then he said, "I know we've got to go, but I really wish that we had more time because I would really love to talk more on this." And then all those many years later, when we did get to sit down with Henry and Viggo, father and son, honestly, it felt like I didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a single year of time. We were sitting right back together, eye to eye, and Viggo was right there because he's so present. He's incredibly present as a human being. And that was one of the big takeaways when I had my chance to interview him 20 19 years ago for the Return of the King. But it was really lovely to have him. Now, that is something that I'd say TheOneRing.net manages to do. There's a certain alchemy that's going on here. It's kind of hard to describe, but we managed to have been such a long-standing community website and have been interviewing all these wonderful people, these creative, talented people from the top down, working on a lot of different film adaptations, video games, stage musicals. We've interviewed so many people and scholars, published professors and scholars who actually teach Tolkien studies in academia. We've had all these wonderful people just out of the goodwill, the basic sense of goodwill that's been extended to our community from all the creative people and the academics out there. It's been really fantastic to see that our community, with our message boards and the way that people talk on Discord and share their energy and their enthusiasm, it all bounces back to the creatives and they get a feel for it, especially back in the day in New Zealand, in talking about the New Zealand production experience when Peter and Weta and all the people felt so isolated way down there in their quiet little green, island country of Aotearoa. And they were so far away from everybody in the big Los Angeles apparatus of making films. And when TheOneRing.net hit the largest strides in 2000, 2001, when we were doing spy reports and had such energetic communications.
Well, Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd really have their Friendship Onion podcast. In the last 2 weeks, they had Mark Ordesky, the executive producer of Lord of the Rings and a friend of the site, friend of the show. And it's really neat. Family. It's so much fun to hear Billy and Dom and Mark talk about going to the One Ring Oscar party in their latest 2 episodes of the podcast over there at the Friendship Onion, because it's like I'm just listening to it. I love to hear the stories. I love to hear about how Mark brought Jackie Chan over to the United States for Rumble in the Bronx, and but then they're like, oh yeah, and then we went to the One Ring party and you pulled a joke on me, and it's like, oh my god, we're all one. Like there isn't like production fans. It's like after all this time, this place this community does feel like, we're all one.
Indeed, indeed it does, because we made the outreach to the filmmakers as a fandom, and they made the outreach back to us, and it became such a beautiful symbiotic relationship.
And to be clear, the filmmakers loved us, the actors loved us, the department people love us, but the marketing people did not necessarily love us because history continues to repeat itself. Yes. We have yet to talk to the Amazon Rings of Power showrunners or any of the department heads. We have yet to talk to anybody in production. I just want to know, have they paid attention to our little show? Because all I know is marketing has been tick, tick, tick. You shouldn't say that. What are you doing? Where are you getting your sources?
Hello, JD and Patrick. Hello. Can you hear us out there? We'd love to talk to you. Anyway, sorry to poke at you guys.
Well, so Cliff,
we'd love to interview you. We would love to have a gentle,
we keep saying that, but Cliff, I want to get back to when did you find out that the production staff was loyally visiting our site?
Gosh, that's hard to explain.
It wasn't immediate. Like we're going through the same motions now that we did 20 years ago.
I would say that there was some kind of osmosis going on at the time, and we were not really aware of it until there was a Comic-Con presentation, I think, and that was when we got the chance to meet a lot of the design people from Weta, working with Tanya Rogers and Richard Taylor at the time. That was one of those Comic-Con experiences where they pulled us aside and said, oh, thank God for you guys, the One Ring. How else would we be able to see this reflexive sense of engagement? And that's really what it was. It was the way for them to not feel isolated as filmmakers and to feel this reflexive engagement with a fandom that was just thirsting. And I'm talking salivating at the chops for what was about to come.
Not like Twitter thirsting. Theaters. That's a whole different type of thirsting. But it's not just us. It's not just Cliff and Justin and Kirsten and Calasuri and Mike, Regina and Tukish and Varking. It is all of you fans that are part of this community that are on our message board, that are in the chat room. Hi, Sean. Hi. Indeed. Varking is here. I see so many wonderful people that have been here forever. Nigel, Dominique. It's so great. Arne. Great to see you, Dr. Nosy. So, we love interacting with everybody. I think that's what makes this show interesting. So, ask your questions away. We'll quickly hit at them and we'll keep moving on. So, there's no need for explanations. Okay. Real quick, Sean wants to know, Cliff, real quick, one burning question. Do they have access to any other source material other than Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit?
No, they have no access to any other source unless they're slightly keeping their cards to their vest and maybe they're not telling us the entire truth, that they might license other bits and bobs. But right now, the only material that they're licensing are second age references in the content that you already have in your hands. The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. That's it.
That's it. Start at the appendices. Again, Amazon was nice enough to send Cliff and I a copy of Lord of the Rings here with a bookmark at page 1 of the appendices, which kind of tells you everything. And the date 9/22, 9/2. But
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the internal business relationship, which is largely kept invisible to us. We do not know about the ongoing business back and forth with the Tolkien estate and their decision making about maybe we'll grant some additional licensing.
But the short answer is that's all they have. Next question,
Cliff.
That's
all they have for now.
Michael wants to know. He needs a Lord of the Rings podcast to listen to. Do you have any favorites?
I highly recommend quite a few of them, but we can start with the Prancing Pony podcast. I'm going to be a special guest interviewed by them tomorrow, actually. And you can look up the Prancing Pony podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. I'm also a huge fan of Signum University and all the things that we get from the Tolkien professor himself, Corey.
Olsen. Corey Olsen.
I would call him Professor Corey, but yeah, Mr. Olsen. Professor Olsen.
Well, that's a good answer.
Professor Olsen.
I have some great Greendragon gossip that I haven't even told Cliff yet, but we're going to get on with that later in the show. We've got so much to talk about.
I have to say, who knew that 23 years ago, yesterday was the very first time a brand new website appeared on the www. And it was TheOneRing.net.
TheOneRing.net.
We published our first article. It's our very first article ever. And so that really represents our 23-year anniversary.
Look, I went back through the archives, and here it is. I don't know how this database has survived, but here it is. Hobbiton is being built, posted by Zoannon.
I remember this.
April 11th, 1999. That was yesterday.
I remember this. Hobbiton is being built. I remember pointing my web browser, and I think that I may have been using the AOL, the America Online web browser that was built in at the time to AOL. I don't think I was using Firefox at the time. Oh, what was the other one? It was Netscape. Oh,
Netscape Navigator. So real quick, it says
a
secret start has been made on the mega budget film The Lord of the Rings in Central Wakado. It says all involved have been sworn to secrecy about the $260 million trilogy, and movie staff yesterday pleaded that the site be kept secret. And we spoiled it.
Yes.
So Amazon, if you're watching, we've been in this game a long time.
Yeah. Quite.
The farmer's owner, Ian Alexander, said he has been involved since October. They just arrived out of the blue. There's been a bit of activity, a bit of action, but they've only just started doing things for real. It's all being kept very quiet. I'm just a common old cocky with a few bloody sheep running around.
That location where I've met Mr. Anderson, I've met him. The person that was interviewed I met him when I was there on location outside of Matamata on the North Island to go to the Hobbiton location set. It is wonderful, wonderful to tell you that he is the salt of the earth and is just as lovely and hobbity and earthy in real life as he sounds in that article.
And he ends it with a staff member at the local hotel says, "It's very hush hush. I don't know what the hell they're doing. As long as they pay their bills, I don't care."
Do you know what? They had no idea at the time. I mean, do you know the biggest thing that was in production in New Zealand at the time was the 2 TV series Hercules and Xena, Warrior Princess. That was the biggest thing that was happening in the entertainment industry in New Zealand at the time. And otherwise, anybody else coming through was like, oh, there's a production. There's Tom Cruise. They're filming some samurai movie. We don't know what that is.
Ian Alexander. I just emailed him about a secret project yesterday, but we'll have more news on that later. But Cliff, awesome. I just wanted to take a brief look at, let's go back to the picture-in-picture. So if I go back to the archives, our first post is Hobbiton being built. Our second post ever on TheOneRing.net was George Lucas is on rings? April 12th, 1999, 23 years ago today, according to E! News Australia, Star Wars creator George Lucas has supposedly been hired onto the fantasy epic as a consultant on the project when director Peter Jackson begins filming Rings later this year. Can you imagine, Cliff?
That was so wrong. Whatever that garbage was.
The interesting thing though, Cliff, is that wrong. Fans were having fun with this. It's not we weren't making stuff up. I mean, E! News, like I said, we quoted E! News.
Yes.
So nowadays, I feel like fans, like especially on Twitter, they want to cancel you if you get something wrong. Reddit for a long time was like, you guys got young Aragorn wrong. It's like we just report the latest rumors here, and our second post on the site was George Lucas involved.
Yeah, so. And that ended up being quite wrong, but we still reported what the rumor was. But you know what?
James, you're right. Dodged a bullet.
Thank you. Yes. Hey there, Clive. Hello, Clive, all the way down there in the south. Nice to see you, buddy. Welcome to the show. You know what? I want to say one quick thing. The young Aragorn business was temporarily accurate. At the time we reported it, that was really what was going on. All the conversations about what that series was going to do involved other vendors. And the other vendors who were doing toys, 3D scans, and action figures, you know what they were told? They were told to build all of their proposals around a young Aragorn
Aragorn. Cliff,
you know what? You guys at Reddit can cut my throat and watch me bleed. Watch me bleed to death.
Don't offer up your sacrifice. Hey, Cliff.
It was just a rumor. We were just reporting it. So
we have a comment in the chat room, Cliff. I need your instant reaction. Folks, look at Cliff's reaction. Cliff, Ever Elvin in Discord says, TheOneRing.net is 1 year older than me.
You got a real slowdown in your audio. I could barely hear what you were just saying.
TheOneRing.net is 1 year older than Ever Elvin in the chat room. This site is older than our viewers.
Do you know what? That's when Gandalf leans really, really close to inspect Bilbo, and he says, "You haven't aged a day."
That's right. Hey, our third post, check this out. Our third post ever on the website. Again, look at this. One post per day. April 13th, 1999 says the voices of many. Co-founder of the website, Tahanu, says she went to dinner with some friends and topic turned to Lord of the Rings, and some of the people at the table were working on the show. It says the rumor about Sean Connery is still going strong among actor circles. She believes there's a strong possibility that it's true. Gandalf? So in 1999, they still weren't sure. Number 2, in 1999, 23 years ago this week, voices. She's heard that the Hobbits will have something like a Yorkshire country dialect. The dwarves will be more Cockney, and the men will be American, and the elves will be slightly Irish.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
The wizards will be very BBC English.
Oh
Cliff,
dear.
did that turn out true?
No. No, not by a long shot. So, you guys, that's so funny. Look, as we journey down the old pathway of nostalgic memories of our previous journalistic successes, let us just remind ourselves, really, is that the One Ring is just a bunch of guys and gals and people wanted to come together and volunteer their time, and it still is the exact same way today. They just want to volunteer their time to enjoy Tolkien and to, let everybody share their enthusiasm. Just that's it. Let everybody have a chance to share their enthusiasm for Tolkien storytelling and take a closer look at what is happening in popular culture when other people get their hands on it. It's always an interesting conversation. So
yeah, and the interesting thing, I just realized that as we go through a couple of these old articles, I've got one more I want to show you guys. But if you notice those first two articles, you can kind of tell who the sources are. We quote Ian Alexander, the sheep farmer,
yes.
Like we quote E! Online about the George Lucas rumor. Tahanu happened to go to lunch or dinner with some friends who happened to be working on the show. So we were getting little tidbits everywhere. But check this out, Cliff. One of the first posts on the OneRing.net, Barad-dûr model, posted by Zoanon. Check this out. Tahanu slipped me this juicy tidbit about an artist named John Howe. You might not know him. But an artist named John Howe.
Oh my God.
And he says, now he's done some Lord of the Rings art before. Of course he has. If you don't know him, you probably know his work. Apparently Howe was at a sci-fi convention in New Zealand and let slip that he and the art team have built a 7-meter, 21-foot-high model of Barad-dûr out of plasticine.
It's true. That was true. And that was the exact same Tower of Barad-dûr that ended up in the Te Papa National Museum. It was in New Zealand's National Museum for a very long time. That proved to be not only monumentally true, but it was...
James, you're right. First bigature.
It was exactly. Actually, thank you, James. That's the accent I was going to put on it. It was our first indication, our early hint that the bigatures were going to be dominating the visuals of the screen. That's amazing because we had no idea at the time.
So that in the first week alone, we got comments on Connery, accents of all the characters, and the different races. We've got George Lucas rumors. We got the Hobbiton location, and we got Barad-dûr as a... Why, Cliff, let me ask you, why don't you think we have heard anything of the sort out of Amazon's show?
Well, I'm just gonna pop my neck a little bit here, and I'm gonna say, you know what? Not from lack of trying. To be honest with our audience, as always, it is not from a lack of desire or trying. We would love to have gotten more in depth with the organic details and the early forms of production. But you know what? It has not been forthcoming.
Varking in the chat room says NDAs probably hit harder now than they did then. I promise you that they do. And if any of you in New Zealand worked on Lord of the Rings, our DMs are always open, and you can always join our Discord and slide us a nice little private message. We keep secrets, and we're still keeping 23-year-old secrets.
I still have things from 23 years ago that I cannot say out loud in polite company. No, I'm joking. But honestly, yeah, there's still quite honestly, there's still confidences being kept. Yes,
that's true. So look, we could spend a whole show going over our first 20 posts. I think we've done a couple shows similarly in the last couple of years, especially during quarantine when there wasn't much to talk about. So we're gonna highlight.
Show me another fan website or another fan community website for any sci-fi project or any anime or anything in the subculture of geekdom, any geeky thing. Point it out to me. I would like to see if there's another fan website that has lasted 23 years and still going with the same relevance, with the same energy and the same relevance that we have at The One Ring. Let's take a look.
Cliff,
let's see what some of the people come up with in the chat. I'm quite curious.
Before we move on to other news, so a couple people in the chat room wanted to know, how did you and I get involved with TheOneRing.net? Was there like a interview process? I'll let you go first.
Well, I was reading the website, and I was always there every day reading a lot of websites that fans were checking out, like Ain't It Cool and also IGN. I was reading IGN. I was always reading the Digital Bits, always, with Bill Hunt. And then suddenly TheOneRing.net had exciting stuff going on. And then one day they posted an open call for writers, editors, and contributors. And at that open call that was posted by Zoannon, I responded to the email and I said, guess where I'm working? I'm working right now in the offices for the webmaster of McKellen.com. I was working at McKellen.com, and it was very exciting. It was very, very exciting, and all came together because then I was in a position, and I had to check with Ian, and I checked with my boss, Keith Stern. And Keith Stern is an excellent
friend of the show,
excellent digital producer and webmaster and friend of us. And when we checked it all out, Keith and I talked about it, and we realized that it would be really great for me to be a back channel between anything that Ian would want to surreptitiously put out into the world that would not necessarily belong on McKellen.com. And then it could be back channeled to me as a writer and a volunteer contributor for TheOneRing.net. And so a brand new relationship was born. A very interesting symbiotic relationship, to be quite honest, was unlike any other.
And then I kind of got involved because I was first and foremost a Star Wars fan. I did these huge 6-week campouts for episode 1, 2, and 3. Several people in the OneRing.net founding community were in that kind of LA-based Star Wars fan group. And so they started the OneRing.net right after, right as Star Wars Episode 1 was coming out. And I just happen to own a T-shirt business, so I make T-shirts,
Mm-hmm. And that was when I first made your acquaintance, was when we were camping out in line for Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and all the kids were in sleeping bags and tents on the Hollywood Boulevard sidewalk.
For 6 weeks.
For many, many, many weeks. And isn't that correct? Isn't that when you and I first made acquaintaces?
Yeah, the first memory I have of you is that we, because I had done the Star Wars lineup, we decided to do a 2-week lineup for Two Towers at the Vista Theater in Hollywood. And you came around, you were filming Ringer's Lord of the Fans, and so you came around and you wanted to interview a couple people. I happened to be there, and that's my first memory of you sticking a mic in my face, saying, why are you here? Why are you doing this? I hadn't read the books. I didn't read the books until after the movies came out. I went into the Two Towers completely cold and blind and unprepared for what I was about to see.
But had you seen The Fellowship before you had seen the Two Towers?
Yeah, I saw it, but I didn't see Fellowship on opening day. Like, I saw it, like, my girlfriend at the time had taken me, like, you got to see this movie. It's totally up your alley. I'm like, whatever. I fell in love. And then, so it was like, I fell in love with Fellowship. I saw it a bunch of times in theaters. And then, our friend Kalasuri was in the Star Wars group. He was also founding the OneRing.net. Our fellow fans and friends in the Star Wars group in Los Angeles at the same time founded TheOneRing.com. And so it's like, hey, you've got TheOneRing.com. Kalasuri has TheOneRing.net. How are we going to separate each other? And Kalasuri's like, I am 100% into this pop culture movie extravaganza. And TheOneRing.com guys, Jonathan and Marcus Watson, decided, hey, we're going to be more a literary fan group. And that's kind of how we, like, split. We didn't split the fandom. Many people had accounts on both websites. So that's how I got involved. I was just kind of helping the website make money, making T-shirts, going to Comic-Con with you guys. But I really got involved because we just started doing these live streams. Like, I started hanging out with you, Cliff, at Comic-Con because I had a booth for my Star Wars stuff. And then I was like, hey, TheOneRing.net should have some T-shirts and some flyers at our booth. So it was like, it moved from a Star Wars booth into a Star Wars Lord of the Rings fan group. And then Lord of the Rings kind of slowly took over my Star Wars booth. And within a couple years, like, we started live streaming, and then the live streaming at Comic-Con turned into this podcast, and here we are still doing this show, and that's how it goes. So,
Indeed.
Varking says, was there an interview process? How did they vet you that you weren't just a fan trying to get tickets to the premiere and stuff like that? I think what Cliff and I just explained is that we came to the One Ring offering stuff. I didn't ask anything out of the website, and neither did Cliff. Cliff came as someone connected to Ian McKellen personally and professionally, saying, I might have some goods to give, and I came in saying, hey, I can help you make money selling T-shirts. I can give you a booth at Comic-Con. I can help you produce these video podcasts. And remember, Cliff, for the first year or two, I wasn't even on the show. It was just you, and I was pressing buttons behind the scenes. So yes. I think the secret to working with the One Ring, and if you ever want to raise your hand and say, hey, I can help write articles and stuff, please do. Please reach out. Slide into our DMs. Send an email to Webmaster, because, we don't, there's nothing to share. There's no money. There's no ads. Like, we don't have secret, super shill access or anything like that. We're just like, I don't think there's going to be a premiere for Amazon show anywhere that we're going to go to. Like, it's a TV show. There's nothing to offer. And, all you can do is, if you want to vet yourself, and this is why I like Varking Runesong in the chat room, because he stepped up and said, I will build your Discord. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing.
The essence of being a volunteer community website, honestly, is in the description of the words we use to call it a volunteer community website. It is exactly what it sounds like. And I'm so grateful that Varking had become such a fully engaged volunteer to help us pull the Discord together and make magic things happen and bring interesting cross-pollination from the subreddit and to the community we have now in our Discord. It's so cool. And way back, 23 years ago, everything that the OneRing.net wanted to do, including running an IRC chat called Barliman's and running an online monthly study group, a study group that we called an online magazine. It was known as Green Books. That was because Green Books and all those other things came together because there was a whole bunch of people willing to volunteer a hell of a lot of time. And I'm going to say that again, a lot of time, free time, volunteered by very, very busy people who otherwise have families and jobs and busy lives. But we all came together to volunteer and write scholarly articles. We invited other scholarship to come from other quadrants of the community around the world, and we published them in our online magazine. And that's what it takes. It takes a village. It takes a village of everybody coming together to make it happen. Yeah.
And there isn't a grand plan, it's like we're all just fans, and we're like, hey, we want to do something cool. But because we had this platform, publishers came to us and say, we love your Green Books. Would you like to republish your website content in book form? and they turned it into the People's Guide of J.R.R. Tolkien, which went on to make one or two like sequel books, and then not Fathom Events, Creation Entertainment came to us and say, hey, would you like to have your own convention that we tour around the country called the One Ring Celebration? We did it.
We made it the One Ring Celebration because we thought the acronym of ORC was particularly funny.
And Star Wars called their thing Celebration.
Yes, yeah, they did. They called it Star Wars Celebration. We thought One Ring Celebration, ORC. We called it ORC. But
and Cliff, you produced Ringers, Lord of the Fans, all on your own. You bought your own cameras before crowdfunding even existed.
Yes, we did. Our initial investor was TheOneRing.net and a wonderful local businessman who runs a toy and collectibles shop. His name is Larry, and he runs an incredible, beautiful place right here in Southern California called Blast from the Past. If you guys want to do a favor and return the love to a mom and pop store, which really is a labor of love from the ground up, then go and visit Blast from the Past, because they have the best collectibles and nerd stuff and comics and toys. But guess what? It was one little trip to New Zealand where we took our cameras to go and look at the landscapes and we went climbing over fences. We went sneaking around with red carpet tours, helping us go into places that we had amazing footage. Now, somebody in the chat just now was asking about what's up with Ringers Lord of the Fans. And I have news, because just last night, I was having an in-depth conversation with the director and the co-writer. I'm the co-writer and the producer, but Carlene Cordova was the director and co-writer. And she said, in what's going to be quite a bit of interesting news for some of you who haven't heard anything about this yet, but Ringers has been re-edited and upscaled. It used to be in standard def, because 23 years ago, when we released it on DVD, that was the only thing that was out there in home video. There was no high def marketplace. So we up-resed the movie. It's no longer standard. It's up in high def, okay? We did a re-edit with a couple of interesting economic trims to the film, and they're finishing post-production, and they're shopping it around to streaming services. And very, very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, there will be an announcement whenever the deal is done and the paper is signed, that we'll be re-releasing Ringers Lord of the Fans 2.0. Ringers 2.0 will be re-released on a streaming platform near you. I'll let you know more about that right here on TheOneRing.net when we know more about it. So that's
breaking news. Well, we've got a bunch of other news from the week. So, Cliff, I think it's time to jump into weekly news. I feel like I need to have a little music interlude, like diddly-doo, diddly-doo, like time for the news.
Okay. How about, you could play like, do you remember Debussy, Claude Debussy?
Yeah.
And whenever I watch one of those cool PBS shows about planets or outer space, they always use,
Benjamin Franklin.
Or Claire de Lune, right? So there's this. So let's play some interesting Claire de Lune in the background or something.
We'll have a little in our head. I'll work on that. Well, Cliff, this week was
a title card. We need a new title card.
It's not just the One Ring's birthday, Cliff, this week. We celebrated Ismael Cruz Cordova's birthday this week. He is one of the most exciting actors that I'm totally looking forward to in this show. He has got leading man looks, and I truly believe he could go on to an Orlando Bloom level career as the new star elf of Rings of Power. I mean, he has got it. Whatever it is, star power, he has it. So happy birthday to Ismael Cruz Cordova.
And I second that emotion. I totally second that emotion. Mr. Looking at the way he appeared in The Mandalorian, and it was kind of unfortunate that he was covered in 10 pounds of purple latex.
Yeah.
And wasn't he a Twi'lek? And he had all the headgear, the prosthetic makeup, and when you take Ismael Cruz Cordova out of all that purple latex and all that alien makeup, look at this man. He has got matinee idol good looks, and they're banking on his marketability. They are banking on it. And if I were a casting director and I saw him walk into the room, I would see dollar signs. I'm telling you,
he
got
has got it. Yeah, he's got the it factor.
Got the it factor. Yep.
And the other thing, like I won't tell you what the conversations were at WonderCon, but I can tell you that every single person that came up to us after our big panel with 1,200 seats at WonderCon, every single person that wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with me wanted to talk about Ismail. So that like, you know, there's that old adage, at least they're talking about me. At least they're talking about him. This guy has got it. Anyway, moving on. Happy birthday, Ismail. Tolkien books rise to the top of Amazon's latest charts. If you can believe it. If you can believe it. In the year 2022, the most sold Amazon books last week, Lord of the Rings, are in the top 10. And the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is there. The Two Towers is here. The Hobbit is here. The Fellowship is here. Cliff, can you believe that we're already setting sales records for the books? I guess that's the whole point of this, right? Like, we want people to read the books.
That is the thing that makes me happiest. Nothing makes me happier than the fact that the TheOneRing.net is helping to contribute to literacy. And I know this is true because back when we first started our website, we made the World Literacy Fund the donating beneficiary if we had any extra money left over from ad sales. And that was really early on when the TheOneRing.net was doing ad sales just to put some ads and to pay for the cost of the server that we were running out of Kenosha. If we had
Thank you, Lincoln.
Yeah,
love you too, Lincoln.
If we had anything left over, we donated it to the World Literacy Fund. And anything that comes from pop culture, introducing fans to Tolkien's books, and they want to pick up those books and crack them open again, that makes my heart 3 sizes bigger, 5 sizes bigger. To see another generation of younglings behind me actually picking up that book and opening it up, that makes my heart soar. That's very good for me.
That's the whole point of this. Moving on.
It's the whole bloody point. Yes, that's exactly
the whole point. The Lord of the Rings collection. It does. There is a new silver and gold commemorative coin being officially put out by the New Zealand Mint. The New Zealand Mint is putting out official New Zealand gold and silver coins, including Gimli and Gandalf and the Ring. New Zealand Mint is putting out these right now. They're brand new. Mintage, as they say, is 3,000 pieces. The gold Gimli is limited to 250 pieces. These are huge and they're beautiful. Moving on. Cliff, I wonder if you could grab one of your spelling books for Lord of the Rings, because our friend Mariana Del Rios posted a question today on Twitter. What's the correct spelling of ring bearer? Is it one word or is it a hyphenated word? Cliff, do you know?
Let the ring bearer decide. I'm going to go grab the book. I'll be right back.
So while Cliff grabs the book and looks up the proper spelling of ring bearer, I can give you a little tease to the answer. I think Twitter's got it wrong. And I know Twitter's never wrong. Twitter should be never wrong, and Twitter never admits that they're wrong. Even if it's a joke, Twitter never admits that we're wrong. Even if we did a joke tweet that was in poor taste last week, we never admit that we are wrong. But Cliff is looking it up right now. Cliff, is it ring bearer, one word, or is it ring dash bearer, a second word, ring dash bearer, a hyphenated word?
Okay, let's find out.
You have the thesaurus, right? The Lord of the Rings thesaurus?
It is. That would be Richard E. Blackwelders.
Babe Cruiser in the chat room says ring bearer, one word. Vonitar in Discord, welcome to the show, says, so wait, let me get this straight. Amazon doesn't have the rights to use the Silmarillion on the show, but they'll still shill the sill on the site. boy, you work on your poetry, man. Like I think you almost have a rhyme there.
It's a hyphenated word, ring bearer.
Folks, from Tolkien's pen to your ears, the correct spelling is ring bearer. Twitter has it wrong.
It is hyphenated. It is ring hyphen bearer.
In all cases, in all cases.
In all cases, it is capital R, ing hyphen lowercase b e a r e r.
Folks,
in all cases, ring bearer.
I don't want to hear anybody ever complain about what liberties Amazon is taking with the creative of the show when fans can't even get this right on Twitter. Folks, get it right.
To be technical, do you want to get real technical about it?
That's why
the very first appearance, the very first time that the word ring bearer makes an appearance in the Fellowship of the Ring is on page 237 in the chapter Many Meetings. Ring bearer, hyphen, there it is. Right there.
There it is.
It says, well, there are many reasons why they should, said Gandalf, smiling. I am one good reason. The ring is another. You are the ring bearer, and you are the heir of Bilbo, the ring finder. Also notice that ring finder is the only time that Bilbo Baggins is referred to as the ring finder, and it is hyphenated, capital R-I-N-G hyphen F-I-N-D-E-R, ring finder. So now we know the hyphens go right where they go.
Well, there's your answer. I'm going to communicate this to Mariana as she completes her PhD at the University of Glasgow, Scotland. All right, moving on. Cliff, big news on Friday. Discovery Channel, like literally the Discovery Channel, famous for Shark Week and everything else, has completed purchasing the entirety of Warner Brothers Studios, including New Line Cinema.
And including their amazing back catalog of motion pictures. And nothing could be more weird to me than that. That is the weirdest media acquisition to date. It's just weird.
So AT&T is officially out of the picture. Discovery Channel is in control. The CEO of Discovery Channel is in control of Warner Brothers. What does this mean for Lord of the Rings fans? Probably nothing right now, but I predict if Discovery wants to get its money back on this transaction.
You said the words I was just going to say. Justin, forgive me for interrupting you, but you said exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, are they going to want their money back on their investment? Because that's what you said to me when AT&T had purchased Warner Brothers years ago. I remember that was the first thing you said to me. You said, AT&T is going to want the money back on their investment. So I was just thinking that, and you just said it, first of all.
Well, I'm proof that AT&T never got their money back. Never got.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. But, I mean...
Anyway, we got a bunch of news going on. What does this mean?
That's
Cliff,
funny.
My prediction, and this is not based on anything. Here's what I predict. Cliff, this has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, but here's what I think Discovery's acquisition of Warner Brothers means. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, and let's not be cynical about this. This is not.
No. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
This is
fans want to. Okay. My opinion is.
Okay.
And this is not based on any inside info I have. My opinion is.
Okay.
Discovery will rearrange the chairs of the executive committee at Warner Brothers. I believe that Jeff Johns is going to be out of a job, and I believe Discovery is going to back up a Brinks truck to Zack Snyder to bring him back and be the Kevin Feige of the DC Cinematic Universe. This is my prediction.
Ooh.
I believe at Comic-Con this year, Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con, someone at Warner Brothers says, ladies and gentlemen, Zack Snyder, and he walks out to thunderous applause like we have not heard since ever. And Zack Snyder completely dominates Comic-Con by announcing Justice League 2 and a re-edit of the Flash movie that has yet to come out. So that's my prediction on the Warner Brothers merger. Next up, Cliff, did you tune in to the Hobbit? Did you tune into the Hobbit audio drama on Reddit? Speaking of Varking, he helped put together with the folks at Audiotorum a Hobbit audio drama yesterday, Cliff.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really I did catch quite a few bits of that. It was really lovely. It was so cool.
We have an exclusive preview clip. I believe that they're still uploading the final audio of it, so I think you guys will be able to listen to it later this week. But we have an exclusive clip, and we're going to play that right now. Hold on, Cliff. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but the fans will.
Wow.
And before I play this, I want to say I'm so excited that the voice of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon played Bilbo Baggins. I'm so excited about that. The voice of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon played Bilbo Baggins. So here we go.
She was awesome. She was really great.
The roads go ever on.
Roads go ever, ever on, over rock and under tree, by caves where never sun has shone, by streams that never find the sea, over snow by winter sown, and through the merry flowers of June, over grass and over stone, and under mountains in the moon. Roads go ever, ever on, under cloud and under star, yet feet that wandering have gone, turn at last to home afar. Eyes that fire and sword have seen, and horror in the halls of stone, look at last on meadows green, and trees and hills they long have known.
So that is just a sample of the music and the sound effects. The voice actors that did Gandalf and Thorin were absolutely spectacular. I loved hearing Gandalf. I almost feel like Gollum was a little too close to Andy Serkis. That's my personal opinion. Someone could have had a little more fun with that, but I tell you, it was so fun, and it was exclusively on Reddit. Shout out to Lord of the Rings on Prime on Reddit, the subreddit that's run by Varking and a bunch of other mods. So make sure you give them a follow and or subscribe to the subreddit, because that was amazing. That was so much fun.
Really, really great stuff, and I'm quite enamored. I love it when people put together cool audio productions like that. Like, a couple of years ago, maybe even more recently than that, when the Audible version of the Sandman comics came out, and it was just so good. Those things are so good. I love this stuff. And again, thank you to Varking and everybody over there who was working with that very talented production company to put that show together. That was great stuff.
Yes, very good. All right, we've got some more merch news besides those coins. Take a look at this awesome Elvish keyboard that was just posted by one of the writers of The Rings of Power, Helen Shang, one of the key writers and one of the most exciting in the writer's room. I'm personally most excited because Helen worked on the Hannibal TV show, and that was one of our short list of showrunners and shows that this Second Age show should model themselves after. I am so excited that Helen Shang, one of the writers on Rings of Power, has just posted this Elvish keyboard. Does this mean that she's going to write the entire second season in Elvish so that no one can leak the script? It would be quite a security coup if all of the Lord of the Rings scripts are written in Tangwar. They take security so seriously. So that's fun. And then another merch thing, Sean Gunner, the head of the Tolkien Society, we love Sean, we love the Tolkien Society. He says the most beautiful editions of Lord of the Rings seem to be in China and Brazil. These are official editions put out by the publishers, the global publishers of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And check this out. Norloth, who's done some wonderful art, she is based in China. Look at this beautiful annotated edition of The Hobbit from China. Look at how beautiful this is. Boy, oh boy. Look at the colors and the quality. And it's all like, I don't read Chinese, but I don't know. It just feels, to me as an ugly American, it feels like reading Dwarvish ruins. But yeah, look at that. Is that Dwarvish or is that Chinese? I guess I should learn some languages here. But look at this beautiful, beautiful Chinese edition of the annotated Hobbit. It is high praise.
That is so gorgeous. It is so gorgeous.
Isn't it, Cliff? And it's high praise to hear Sean Gunner of the Tolkien Society, praise new editions, because he probably has 50 different versions of this book.
Sure.
So
I have to say the only foreign edition that I have is the Japanese paperback editions, where the trilogy is split into 9, count them, 9, one book for every one of the 9 walkers. There are 9 different little mini books in the entire Japanese paperback collection. I would love that gorgeous hardcover in Cantonese. That's too gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, Otaku Senpai in the chat room says the new edition of the One Ring role-playing game is starting to hit retailers right now. That's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, very cool. I got to check that out.
Guys, folks in the chat room started early on the show. I'm sorry we didn't catch your chats about this, but people in the chat room, Cliff, were really talking about this new virtual marathon put on by the Conqueror Challenges.
Why didn't we talk about the virtual marathon at the start of the show? We should have.
Well, yeah, we should have brought this up. So, guys, I don't know about you, but all during the pandemic, when everything was shut down and we were under quarantine, the Conqueror virtual challenge sent me a bunch of Facebook ads. I think for about 8 months, all I got on Facebook were Conqueror virtual marathon challenges. And what it is a phone app that you can run in place on a treadmill, or you can go for a jog around your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the challenges are, they basically measure how far of a distance it is to climb Kilimanjaro, if that's like 3,000 feet. So the challenge is just walk or run 3,000 feet and you accomplish your goal. So what they've done is, this is officially licensed from Warner Brothers and Middle-earth Enterprises. They're using the official logos and the fonts. They have created a bunch of challenges that are equal distant to the journey Frodo and Sam took to Mordor. 145 miles from the Shire, 98 miles to create the Fellowship, 40 miles to the Mines of Moria, another 95 miles to the Eye of Sauron, and then Mordor another 282 miles. So, like, this is it's a commitment.
Yes.
This is a lot of hours on the treadmill or a lot of hiking or walking, but it's going to
give you the verisimilitude of what it's like for the poor hobbits to walk all the way across those many, many, many leagues to their destination. And they'd be marching through a lot worse conditions than you will be.
And look, you can go as hard or as soft as you want. If you just want to walk at a brisk pace, if you want to just be on your treadmill, or if you want to like actually try to do 26.2 miles every time and run a marathon. But yeah, the Conqueror Challenges is about conquering a long journey, and it's not easy. It's a lot of walking, but the app, you keep the app on you. It tracks how far you go based on GPS and number of steps, and once you hit each of these destination goals, they will mail you the collectible medallion.
That is so cool. That's really cool.
Virtually travel from the Shire to Mordor. Track your progress in Middle-earth. You can sync it with your Adidas app, Google Fit, Apple Health, Under Armour. You can connect your smartwatch, your Apple Watch, or your Garmin. So if you've got a smartwatch, like you don't have to take your phone with you. It can track your thing. Isn't that a fun little thing? Like, you can pick a cause, to clean the oceans. So yeah, carry the One Ring across the journey. Access anywhere. Choose your own time frame. Multiple exercise types. Do cartwheels if you want. like any way to show action. Of course, they've got some merch there. The price is there, as you saw at the top. Let's look at it. There are 5 medallions that come with a neck ribbon. 5 medallions for the 5 major stops on Frodo and Sam's journey: Shire, Fellowship, Mines of Moria, Eye of Sauron, and Mordor. You can get all 5 if you sign up for $199. So it's $200 to get all 5. Again, you have to complete the walking challenges. You can't just like buy 200 and cheat, right? Or you can just get one of the medallions for $50 for $49.99.
I betcha when I spend one day walking around Disneyland Park, and then I'm a park hopper ticket and I go walk over there to California Adventure all night, I betcha not only am I getting enough steps in to hatch my Pokemon on Pokemon Go, but I'm sure I'm walking all the way from Rivendell to Khazad-dûm. One single day at a theme park was probably
that's for sure.
It's probably enough to walk all the way to Khazad-dûm.
So not only is there an app, that tracks your progress, and then you get 5 medallions as you hit these targets. You get 467 stories and 53 digital postcards along your journey as you reach different places along the journey.
I love this idea. Did I fail to mention how much I love this idea? This is just the neatest thing. It's a really cool thing. It's the neatest thing to be able to motivate yourself into a new type of fitness goal. And you had never been motivated like this before. And I think it's really a lot cheaper than a real expensive fitness trainer. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than getting a fitness trainer. And it's more fun. I just love this idea.
And you guys aren't ready to see this, but check this preview out of the actual medallion that you get. That's the thing that goes around your neck when you complete the Shire. And you can open the envelope and take the ring out.
No way! Oh.
This is the medallion that you get.
That's so cool.
This is the medallion that you get. How cool is that? And check that out. Not only do you get the ring, if you complete all the way to Mordor, you can put the ring into the fire. Look at that. You put it into the lava. You can put your ring into the lava. This is $200 well spent. Also, we all have really pandemic bodies, so it's time to shed the pandemic weight. What a great...
Speak for yourself,
yeah,
Mr.
I am
Justin.
speaking for myself.
Speak for yourself, Mr. Justin.
I'm speaking for... Cliff, you were an inspiration that you swore off smoking and drinking during the pandemic, and you look healthier than ever, and I wish I had your strength.
Actually, yeah, I quit drinking in November, and thank you very much. But, I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never touched a cigarette in my life.
Me neither.
Ever. Really?
Me neither.
Do you know what's amazing? When I sat down with my doctor and I said, guess what? I quit drinking a few months ago. And they went, what? Wow. And they went on to this great big laundry list of noticeable improvements in my health that are happening already because, I stopped drinking. So it was really a nice conversation. And this little fitness training, get your cardio in on your way to Mordor is probably the perfect niche for a guy like me, for any of us who want to get more steps in and want to be more active and get out about into the world. Now that you can get out into the world now and walk through the mountains, Gandalf, mountains.
And
I love this idea.
And you know what you can do? Once you sign up, you have a friend code that you can share and create a fellowship. And Nerd of the Rings created a fellowship of 9 fellow travelers.
He did.
So not Fellowship of the Ring. Nerd of the Rings has a fellowship of 9 friends and family that are keeping each other honest and keeping the motivation up. And so anyone can do that. Once you sign up, you get a friend invite, and people can join your fellowship. I tell you, this Conqueror app, I got so many ads for it, but this might get me to sign up. Before we get to the Greendragon gossip, Cliff, you're not going to believe it. I just have to...
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the part where he dropped some crazy stuff on me that he should have told me ahead of time, But go ahead, Justin.
I just have to say that, Twitter is not for nuance. And there are some really hot takes sometimes. Some really hot takes on Twitter.
You mean garbage takes? Yeah, there are
garbage takes.
Yes.
Some people need to be canceled. Sometimes a joke prompt can get you canceled. Even if the joke prompt says, give me your biggest joke, give me your biggest thing that will get you canceled. Sometimes they will cancel you. But Cliff, I have to show you. I just had to point this out on this show. Folks, Stephen King says Elijah Wood was terrible as Jesus. Maybe it was Frodo. Stephen King says Elijah Wood was terrible as Frodo, or was Frodo the Jesus of Middle-earth? Cliff, this is a garbage take from Stephen King. Was Frodo the Jesus of Middle-earth? What do you think, Cliff?
I don't even know what to say.
Everybody in the chat room is like, screw Twitter. I hate Twitter.
Look, I'll be honest with
Stephen
you.
King can have the most garbage takes. We're not the only one.
Sometimes I enjoy the banter with some of my favorite authors and artists like Colleen Doran and Neil Gaiman and, yes, Stephen King and other people, Rick Acevedo and other actors like comic book authors and illustrators.
So who is the Jesus of Middle-earth, Cliff?
There's some points in time where I wish that it would all go away, even though sometimes I really do I like having a bit of banter with people on Twitter. Sometimes I just wish it was not in existence. No, there is no Jesus analogy. There is no Buddha analogy. There is no.
But Gandalf dies and resurrects.
Okay, there are essential components. There are essential components of sacrifice that happened in the story that Professor Tolkien interwove, but there is no Aslan. Sorry. All right. I need to tell Stephen King. I need to tell anybody who's listening. Aslan was in the other story. There's your Jesus analogy. Aslan the lion in Narnia. Middle-earth does not have an analog to Zoroaster or Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad. There's no analog in Middle-earth, so don't even try.
That's what just makes me furious about all of these other YouTube accounts and Twitter folk that say Tolkien was Catholic. He wrote a Catholic story. No, he didn't. Like, there's no Christ figure in Lord of the Rings. He did not write a Catholic story.
He did write. No, Justin, I get to stand and say what Tolkien meant was not literally what you're implying with that statement.
Okay.
Let's just say that we are capable of more nuance here in this conversation than Twitter will ever allow.
Then Twitter is not for nuance.
Okay, so here's the nuance that you need to understand. The essential Catholic stuff that Professor Tolkien put in The Lord of the Rings is definitely in there, but it's deep down in the granular structure of the story and the relationships and the causality of certain characters and their decision-making against another character's decision-making. The Catholicism is not the way that Jack Lewis, or I should say C.S. Lewis, wrote his analogs of Christian symbology and motifs. Tolkien didn't do that. You want to look at what's Catholic in The Lord of the Rings, you might want to look at the Lord's Prayer. You know the Lord's Prayer? Everybody learned it in church, you know? And Professor Tolkien put that stuff into the background of the relationship between Frodo and Sam and Gollum. And there's an operational lesson in forgiveness, you know? Forgive us our debts as we forgive those, you know, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. That kind of Catholic stuff is inside the decision of Frodo to forgive Gollum, of the evil doing that he's done, and to give him the grace to be Smeagol.
It's grace and mercy. It's mercy.
It's stuff that is thematically built around Frodo giving. Now, Sam will not extend the same mercy to Smeagol, but Frodo also being crushed by the ring, the way that Smeagol was crushed by the ring. Frodo is sympathetic and understands the torment of what's going on in Smeagol's mind. And there's some very, very strong Catholic ideas of forbearance and forgiveness and grace and patience. That's the kind of stuff that is really Catholic in The Lord of the Rings, but it's not pronounced on the outward level, or certainly not in the outward cosmetic way that C.S. Lewis puts them in his stories. So it is true that Tolkien did create a fundamentally Catholic work, but you got to get smart and you got to get deep into the details of what Tolkien was doing and not just make some slap surface judgment about it. It's something deeper. It's deeper. It's deeper stuff.
Okay. And before we go to the Greendragon gossip, Cliff, Pastor Tom Emmanuel, friend of the show, tweeted today that he believed that J.R.R. Tolkien would not like Twitter. I argue that Tolkien actually probably would love Twitter and love seeing the evolution of language across cultures. I also think that Tolkien would have been fascinated by meme culture and communication through emojis and meme. He might have even taught a course on the evolution. So, like, Tom thinks Tolkien would hate Twitter. I think Tolkien loved poetry and words and concise use of words, maybe. So, what is your opinion? Would J.R.R. Tolkien have appreciated Twitter?
Oh hell! You're gonna get me on this.
You don't have to answer. If you wanna red card it. Remember Joanna Robinson? Do you want to red card this?
No. Look, after reading Tolkien's letters as many times as I've read through his published letters, I think that he was more verbose than Twitter. If you want to think about a social platform where Professor Tolkien would have more fully embraced, I'm thinking about Tolkien now in my mind as an analog to Noam Chomsky, okay? Professor Tolkien was more verbose than 140 characters.
Yes, and the chat room agrees with you, by the way. I just think he's a linguistic researcher, the history of language. He would have loved to watch in real time how cultures adopted different linguistics of different cultures across the world.
Yeah, sure. He loved to study languages and the history of languages, but in terms of expressing himself, he might have been on Facebook or on Reddit, where he could be as verbose as he wanted to be and write lengthy responses to people. I got a funny feeling that Tolkien might have probably been more into Reddit than Twitter, but that's just me. I don't know.
I think 20 years ago, Tolkien would have been on our message boards as under a pseudonym.
Yes. Oh, let us not forget. Do you know some of the? We're looking at our 23rd anniversary of TheOneRing.net. Over the past 23 years, some of the biggest names in Tolkien scholarship and Tolkien publication have contributed to our website under pseudonyms. It has happened many times over the past couple of decades. So really, yeah, let it happen more often. I say, bring it.
Before we let everybody go, it's time to give you some little Greendragon gossip. So everybody come up close here. Hey,
everybody gather around the campfire while he pulls out his guitar. He's going to sing you a little song.
Cliff, I have some little birdies. in London.
Oh? And one of those little birdies flew all the way across the Atlantic and landed on your windowsill this morning and told you some little secrets.
Well, actually, it is a bird, but it's a Twitter bird in our Twitter DM. So it is, the bird is accurate.
Okay.
The method is not. Folks, you know what we've just heard? Greendragon gossip. This could be true. This could be false. Our DMs could be lying to us, but it's a trusted name. Folks, are you ready for this, Cliff? You know who's been spotted in London?
What? Who?
Folks, Howard Shore is spotted in London.
What's he doing?
He is booked. He is booked at a residence for 3 weeks.
What's
in
going
London.
On? Uh-oh. What?
Cliff?
What's going
Cliff,
on?
where did they record the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit soundtrack? They recorded Lord of the Rings with the London Philharmonic. Folks, Howard Shore is currently in London right now.
Okay, that's not to cause any alarm amongst the fans. We didn't say anything about Abbey Road Studios. We didn't say anything about writing any music for a certain TV show.
Well,
and we didn't say anything else about that stuff, did we? We did not. But you know what? Whoa.
Wait, but Greendragon gossip continues. Howard Shore is currently in London. The rumors are he's scheduled there for 3 weeks. Secondly, next piece of green.
I'm going
to tell you. Interesting enough, there is a booking at Abbey Road Studios for a title called UAP, Untitled Amazon Project.
They always use that acronym, Untitled Amazon Project.
They've been using that for 3 years.
They use that for everything that's related.
They used it for
to the
casting.
Yeah,
they casting and production, folks.
But
the rumors are
they can't use Untitled Amazon Project anymore because it really is titled now.
Well, if they don't titled. If they want to keep it. So anyway, the rumors are UAP has booked Abbey Road Studios and Howard Shore is in London. I don't know what that means, folks, but I think I know what that means.
I think I know what that means too. I think that we're going to be delivering some very loud and shocking, surprising news about Howard Shore as soon as we can confirm it. Ladies and gentlemen, as soon as it is confirmed, as soon as we can confirm it.
Just confirm it. Amazon, you've been deleting your comments. People want to yell at us for deleting comments. Amazon was deleting comments confirming it was Howard Shore. Come on. Just give it to us. Just give it to us straight. We can take it. We're big boys. Give it to us straight.
So you know what? I don't want anything in the whole world as much as I want that. I want Howard Shore to be part of the series. And, well, actually, do you know what? Honestly, that's my number 2 thing. My number 2 thing is I want Howard Shore involved. Do you know what my number 1 desire for the show is? I desire that the writers in the writer's room do a great job on creating another entry point into Arda. And I hope that they get the story right with the underpinnings, with the spiritual and deep core metaphysical underpinnings that make Arda work the way that it works. Fundamentally, that's my number 1 thing. I want the writer's room to have the blessings of success. I hope they do it. And my second most desired thing, aside from this little guy right here, I would love for Howard Shore to have his name forever on Middle Earth and his music forever in our ears. Really, seriously. You know what? Do you know when someone asks you the hypothetical question, let's talk about if you want to, let's say you had to choose Sophie's choice. You lose your eyesight or you lose your hearing. Which one would you lose? And I would always choose, I'd be willing to lose my eyesight. I would never, ever, ever want to lose my hearing because I would never want to lose the ability to hear such beautiful music, like the kind of music that Howard Shore has put in my ears. I could trade. You know, when people ask you this, character building conversation type of hypothetical, they want to know, what would you lose? Would you lose your sight or would you lose your hearing? And because I've heard so much music in the world that moves my spirit, and I'm talking Mozart, Gustav Holst, and Annie Lennox, and David Bowie, and music from Howard Shore, and music from Joe Hisaishi in the Miyazaki films. All that music is something I could never, ever live without. I think I could manage to live life if I could never see a moving image in front of my eyes, but I could never, ever give up the feelings and the power and the emotions that I get from music that I've heard across my lifetime. I just, seriously. That's just me. That's just my take on it.
Amen. But I do think that there's room in this Middle Earth show for deaf actors and actresses like Marlee Matlin and Troy Kutzer, who just won an Oscar and a bunch of acting awards for their movie Coda. Troy looks like a captain in Middle Earth, and I hope he's in consideration at some point to join the show. And I hope Amazon considers Viggo Mortensen to join as a director. I would love to see Viggo Mortensen take over directing of this show, because at least we would know who's in charge. We don't know these showrunners. We don't know these writers yet. I trust Viggo Mortensen, and God, I would love for him. So Cliff, that's the Greendragon gossip. All signs point to Howard Shore. We still don't have any confirmation. Cliff, do you think they'll wait until Comic-Con San Diego in July and parade him out at Hall H?
Yes. Yeah, I think they'll do something spectacular like that. Really. They want to catch the world's attention, and they want to catch the world's attention in a different way than they did at the Super Bowl. Then yes, they'll bring Howard Shore out.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Like I feel like we spend every week on this show telling Amazon exactly what fans want to hear. We want to be the biggest champions for the show. We want to fight the good fight. We want to debate the trolls and win. But come on, you got to give us something that we're asking for. Like give us a little win here. You know, like we keep telling you. People in the chat room are saying, Matthew says, my God, Falling was a great film. Folks, if you haven't seen Viggo Mortensen's directorial debut, watch Falling.
1,000. Absolutely. I agree 1,000%.
So many people are dealing with...
Beautiful movie.
In my own personal family, we're dealing with someone with dementia and a failing old age and dementia. That's what this film is about. And it touches on the bigotry of old America and old people getting old and stuff like that. So that film really hit my heart, and I highly recommend. It's called Falling, and if you go to TheOneRing.net's YouTube channel, you can search for Viggo Mortensen Falling, and there might be a trailer, and there's a 2-hour conversation we have with him about the film, and that just leads to more Lord of the Rings talk, because he can't help himself. It's so good. This is Torn Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday, Cliff.
We are here every Tuesday, and you know what? I'm surprised that we've achieved such regularity. We must have a really healthy GI tract. We've got such regularity here on our show. It's nice to be regular. Isn't it nice to be regular? We are here every Tuesday, folks, without fail. And I can't believe it. There's a lot to appreciate about Viggo Mortensen as an actor and a photographer and a musician. But my goodness, his directing debut, Falling, I agree with everyone. It's really lovely. And it would be awesome, so awesome to have Viggo come in as a guest director on Rings of Power. That would be remarkable.
And but I'm telling you, Amazon, if you're still watching after an hour and a half, if you're still watching our little podcast, let me tell you, we need the high fiber diet of Howard Shore confirmed for the show. Howard Shore
can stay regular.
Howard Shore is the high fiber content Tolkien fans need.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what? Yeah. Mr. Howard Shore would be the ultimate feather, the ultimate brightly colored feather in your Tom Bombadil hat. Amazon, it's true. As soon as Howard comes on board, I think the tenor of the conversation, so to speak, is actually going to dramatically uplift. So good news, good rumors. Thanks for the rumors, Justin.
Yeah, there you go.
I appreciate the good rumors. I do. And my extra appreciation is now extended to our faithful audience. Thank you, everybody. Everybody who's out there on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and all the other channels and Reddit. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. And thank you very kindly, Justin, for pulling together the electronic wizardry to make the show work as well as we
And
get
thank
it
you
done.
to everybody
Yes.
over 23 years that has volunteered to keep this community going and help publish news and even bring discords to light, and and helping with the events and the cruises to Middle Earth and Dragon Con and New York Comic Con, all the Oscar parties and everything. Thank you to all of the volunteers that have taken time out of their busy lives and their families at their own expense to help keep this going, and that continues on with great folks like Varking and Tukish, still going strong in the Discord. So join the Discord if you want the latest breaking news and whispers, because that seems to be where a lot of things pop up. So Discord, search for theonering.net, and we're there. And Cliff, I hope we hear something official soon.
I hope so too. And I agree. Justin, you said it really beautifully. Thank you to all the people over 23 years who have contributed to something that I think is a jolly good show here at theonering.net. We've put together over 23 years of fandom, and the deepest fascination with Tolkien still continues unabated. This is your spot here at theonering.net to come and share your energy and your enthusiasm with all the other normies here as we explore, all the crazy, interesting intersection of Tolkien's literary legacy and $1 billion. And let's see what happens when these two crazy things come together in a new TV show. Thank you again for being with us, everybody, and for your constant love and support over all these years. Justin, thank you for being an excellent producer and co-host and such a kind brother in arms. Thank you, good sir. So we're going to say goodnight to everybody. Come and join us again next week, Tuesday, right here at theonering.net. You can find me, Clifford Broadway, online at QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. And Justin, you can find theonering.net everywhere else online at TheOneRing.net. Take out the dot, and then you'll find us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Until then, buenos noches y buena suerte. Good night and good luck, everyone.
Do you think Bear McCreary's going to be there in London?
I wonder. Imagine sitting at that coffee table.